My name is Padilla. This poem was inspired by Martin Espada's poem, My Name is Espada. Padilla's soldiers rode out of Spain in armor and in helmets embellished with feathers resplendent of quetzals. Padilla's coat of armors a cry wore. Fingers gripped sabers meant to colonize. They spilled Aztec blood, raped women, their blood mixed in veins, birthing children with sculpted high cheekbones. They traveled the Camino Real in New Mexico to confiscate native tribal lands. In San Luis Valley, my grandfather's illusions of grandeur dissolved, his Jewish heritage secreted in trunks. My father denied his Mexican ancestry, identified himself as Spanish American. Martinez, my mother's clan, are farmers. Their emblem is Mars, the fertility god. Martinez's were born under trees and stars, joyous when squash vines coiled up string beans against mud walls. Martinez found joy when snowflakes mounted on Blue Mountain and melted into the Rio Grande. Martinez women were curanderas and midwives. Martinez women never cut their hair. Today, Padilla, I carry virtual swords to cliff tops, fight with words and gamble with life. My name is Padilla. I am a poet with a mean streak, yet I am joyous when I see my string beans wrap around my cornstalk in New Mexico, where I was born. My family moved to Wyoming when I was a child. And it was the first time we had really been around conservative Wyoming people or people that looked different than us and we looked different than them. This poem is about children at play, and I try to write the poem so it would have the rhythm of children playing. But the point of the poem is that children are not born racist. Children are taught to be racist. Forbidden friend. Charlie Ray Davis swings high, freckle face, carrot hair, rice paper skin. His blood pumps so fast, I fear his veins will burst and he'll bleed to death. I'm a shy 8-year-old brown girl, bony knees, ribbons securing ends of the long black braids that fly when it's my turn on the swing. After school, we grab hands, we play rope. He pulls, twists me fast around the corner. I fall, he laughs and helps me up. Then it's my turn. I twist, pull him all the way home, down to our apartment building, long and narrow, set on top of the old veteran cemetery. At the back door, his mother stands guard. She hollers, Charlie Ray Davis, get your ass away from that dirty Mexican. At the clothesline, hanging laundry, my mother twists her neck ugly. She screams, Catalina, I told you before, stay away from that white trash Okie. As I grew up in Green River, and there were many of us Hispanic, Spanish, tribal, whatever we were identified as, we were alienated. And we felt, especially as young teens, we felt lost and we were impoverished. We felt that we needed to form a gang in order to have some family or to deal with our aloneness. This poem is called Schoolyard Gangland, 1950. Wyoming wind rages into our railroad shack. Coal, ash, coats, plates of beans and tortillas. We tremble in our family steel bed with passing trains. Wyoming wind sucks cigarette smoke from the circle of 5 Chicanas. We control the furthest corner of the junior high campus. Wyoming wind gusts scream open our blue nylon windbreakers like angel wings. We finger brass knuckles, push forward over dry aspen leaves, power in our pockets. What happened to me, and this is where I always say one gesture of kindness can make a significant difference. My school principal, Principal Vern Newman, reached out to me and took me under his wing. I graduated from high school, the top 10 in my class, with a scholarship to journalism at the University of Wyoming. But I credit a principal, a school teacher, who thought perhaps I had potential and should not participate in the games. Nothing to be thankful for. There was never a question who would get my father's saxophone. Balta was my father's favorite. Girls couldn't blow hard enough to make music. When Balta knocked up the 16-year-old girlfriend, my stern Chicano father cried. He offered him money to run away. My brother married her anyway, left college, found a construction job at the Flaming Gorge Dam, miles away from home. Worried for his pregnant wife, he drove the shortcut home. Only the moon saw the car roll. His tear-stained face scraped the wet dirt road. My father wailed. My mother fell into a silent space. I was locked out of their pain. Thanksgiving weekend, I was left without homemade pumpkin pies, empanadas with pine nuts. I missed my father mixing highballs, my mother wearing lipstick. We were flushed down a love-deprived vortex. I married a stranger who promised me a holiday with all the trimmings. My father sought sexual comfort elsewhere. My mother stuffed her wedding dress into the alley trash can and lit a match. Alonzo was my oldest brother, and this is a pontoon poem. Alonzo, the shoeshine boy. A shoeshine boy walks over the viaduct, in his hand a wooden shoeshine box with a knife whittle foot sized for soldiers, new recruits at the Warren Air Force Base. In his hand a wooden shoeshine box stocked with black and brown kiwi tins for new recruits at the Warren Air Force Base, soldiers ready to shell out dimes for a spitshine. Stocked with black and brown kiwi tins, the boy buffs boots with a slopping flannel cloth for soldiers ready to shell out dimes for a spitshine, money for the boy to buy cigarettes and pomade. The boy buffs boots with a slapping flannel cloth. A final whack with his father's bristle brush earns the boy money to buy cigarettes and pomade for his ducktail and comic books to trade. A final whack from his father's bristle brush earns praise for his rebel streak, soldiers' tips for his ducktail and comic books to trade on the corner where his ego struts. In pockets full of ready money scored with a knife whittled foot sized for soldiers, a prize held tight by darkened fingers at dusk, a shoeshine boy walks over the viaduct. El Vato and the Bees. A ballet etched in my child's mind. A summer day in Taos, shattered by a shilling chorus of screams, angry bees buzzing, attacking round my grandfather's bald head like a spiked halo. He stumbles. A lone strap from his coveralls drifts off his shoulders to the ground. His frantic arms swing at the stinging bees. Red terror fills his wet, wide open eyes. He drops face down. My grandmother pulls a serape off the bed and chases out the adobe house. She drags grandfather under the cloak. Like a giant ladybug, they move slowly away from the tormented bees. Alonzo is a vato, hair slicked back like Elvis, his arms lined with welts from my father's belts. His skin face hides behind the apple tree. My grandfather and his father and his father used marijuana smoke to calm the bees. Today, my grandfather's bellow smoker is filled with dry leaves. Alonzo's lust for marijuana turns honey harvest ghastly. Taos harvest. When I grew up, I would ask my father, why did we leave New Mexico? It's so beautiful. And all of, you streams and mountains, why did we move to Wyoming? And my father would explain that we couldn't live there anymore because our waters were cut off and we didn't have any more ability to cut trees. And at that time, he always would say that the Indian Pueblo people and the Hispanic settlers all shared in the water. So Taos Harvest is a poem, it's a culmination of all of these people who lived at that time early on before the federal government took away the land, took away Blue Lake from the tribal people. On a wooden table sits loaves of warm bread, adobe house heated with firewood. Air smells of yeast and burnt bark from a cedar tree. It is August, apples rotting on the ground, so many trees bearing fruit, acequias overflowing. Oh, sweet water gifted down from Blue Lake. Sacred water mixed into flour for today's Indian bread, extra dough rolled, spoon and fruit for empanadas, baked in mud ovens with firewood. Up the Rio Grande, foreigners prepare ground to divert our water and claim our trees. White laws say we no longer can cut trees. Man-made dams have cut off the floodwaters our families need to soak sacred ground, where we harvest wheat to make our bread. Lock gates deny access to firewood. Our wagons return to the Pueblo empty. Fruit no longer in abundance. Oh, we remember sweet fruit, flowers budding, beehives in the trees, trips up the mountain for firewood, how we cupped our hands to drink water from the stream, how we shared bread, how we danced upon our ancient ground. Our ancestors tell us to stand our ground, remind us wind, land, water are fruit for all to share, to honor life-giving bread. We dance and pray under the trees, call upon the gods to return our water. In our sacred circle, we burn firewood. A gold flame fed by our firewood, like the morning sun tipping the ground. We identify our path to save our water, to bring back to the Pueblo people. Fruit will again fall off the trees. We will harvest corn for our bread. We will persevere. Our water will again flow. Our firewood will burn to bake our bread. Our sacred ground will award us a richness, trees laden with fruit. My final poem is a new poem as well, and it was written this last year when I went with the Poetry Playhouse from Albuquerque on a retreat to northern New Mexico, essentially going back home. Crimson dirt My legacy descends upon me like an unwanted duel. It's, it's a golden morning, red cliffs, mesas dotted with chamiso, the Jemez Mountain flecked with snow. My hands death cold. Visions spew out of my mind's eye. I shake my head, attempt to stop my musing. I want to see an eagle soar, free, silent, across New Mexico's blue sky. I want to hear a bird sing. I try to block out memories, seeping through cracks of mud and straw home. I see my mother hauling buckets of water up the bank. I smell pinyon trees, wet, pungent, full of pine nuts. I see her bleeding, my father lost in rage. I want to shut out my past. I want to relish the Jemez River rushing just below my feet, varnishing rocks, sweetening flowers on the bank. The seal cracks open. I see the campfire. Flames highlight my mother's face, as if bees have blessed her with a coat of golden honey. Thank you. This book is dedicated to my mother and Juana Martinez Padilla. And in spite of all of the difficulties that she had growing up, being a mother and a wife, she went to work in Green River, Wyoming as a hotel maid. And when she retired, she was the manager of the Tomahawk Hotel. So she was beautiful and intelligent. And the slideshow is showing some images of my family, and it's a short slideshow. Thank you, Amanda, everybody who's there.
Thank you so much, Kate, for sharing stories about your life and about your family and those photos. That was really, really cool.